Toronto continues to lead the NBA in wins and have now won 8 of their last 10. Doug Smith has been covering these Raptors since the inception of the franchise. He joins us now. Hey, Pascal Siakam is the new exciting toy that they have there as far as his development. Hit the game winner against the Phoenix Suns. Tell us about how that built his confidence even more and the team having confidence in him.
I think, Chris, that's the point, is that now they have another option, they think, at the end of games, and it boosts the players' confidence in Pascal to say, hey, we're going to give you the ball, go make something happen. And he did. And it was the first time, I bet you it's the first time in his career at any level where they called a dribble play for him at the buzzer of a tie game. So the fact that he did it, I think, boosts his confidence, but I also think it gives guys like Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, another thought process at the end of close games, that we got another guy who can do something for us.
Hey, Doug, hi, this is Booz. How you doing?
Hey, Booz. Not bad, thanks.
I wanted to ask you, Toronto's been a terrific team all season long. Who do you think is their best competition to get to the NBA Finals, whether it's Philadelphia, Boston, Milwaukee? Who do you see being their toughest competition?
I still think Boston. I know they're scuffling a little bit right now, but they've been there before. Milwaukee the second place, well, by percentage points leading the Eastern Conference, and are very, very good. But Boston is that sort of time-tested group. Conference Finals last year without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Mm-hmm. They got them back. They just played, they always play Toronto great games. They had a great game up in Boston on Wednesday night. I think if you're looking at a matchup that the Raptors would probably not like to have, Boston as a proven winner with a bunch of veterans would probably be it.
Doug, I'm going to be a fan for a second, like I live in Toronto. So my question for you is to use the word the process. How do you think the process is going, making Kawhi Leonard happy? How is Masai Ujiri, from the front office down to the fan base, making Kawhi feel like this should be his new home for the rest of his career?
I think what the organization's doing is really simple. They're leaving him alone. Kawhi, here's the key to the gym. Come and shoot. Do whatever you want to do. The city's nice. Whatever you need, let us know. We'll take care of it. But there's no pressure. There's no all-out full-court press trying to kiss up to him every day. They're letting the team's success and the fact that here he's the guy and he can go about his business not anonymously, but relatively anonymously. And frankly, if you want to win for the next 3 or 4 years, I think the Eastern Conference and Toronto is where you might want to be. I don't know the Clippers are there, and I get that the Lakers might have some draw, but are they any closer to playing for a championship than Toronto is in the East? I don't think so.
Kawhi Leonard going to sit out tonight. We know he's rested the second night of back-to-backs all season, but they last played on Thursday night, so why is he sitting this one out?
We asked Nick Nurse that just an hour ago, Chris, before the game. He said just the medical people decided that tonight's another good night to rest. And, he did take off Thursday night after he played a lot of minutes in Boston on Wednesday. He had played the most minutes of the season in Washington in a double overtime game on Sunday. I think the cumulative effect is, okay, you know what, if we got to give up a game in January so we got him fresh in April, May, and June, that's okay. This is going to give him a break from, he played Wednesday night and then he'll play again until Tuesday, almost a week off. And I think that sort of cumulative rest on the leg is going to be good for him in the long run. And frankly, they operate pretty well without him.
Yeah, and I was going to take you right there, Doug, where I think it's a two-part thing where, one, let's keep our good relationship going and let him have an extra day off. But we've also learned that our second unit and other guys actually have played great basketball this season with him off the floor.
Oh, they've come a long way. Since early in the year, last year's second unit was outstanding, but it changed dramatically this year with Jonas Valanciunas added to it, OG Anunoby added to it when they moved, when they got Danny Green as a starter and Kawhi Leonard as a starter there. So it's taken a little while, but now that they've had a little bit of time to mesh, the team sees it. Their record without Kawhi, I think, is something like 8-2. It's really, really good. And their other guys are being able to step up and be asked to do things that maybe will pay off later on in the year.
Doug Smith, Toronto Star, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good stuff, Doug.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Doug.
Anytime. All right, guys.
He mentioned something towards the end there, and it's Jonas Valanciunas, right? And that's a guy where he was incredible early in the year, and they're bringing him off the bench now. He's been a starter for them for years, and he's thrived in that role just as good as he was as a starter coming off the bench while he's been out. Then you look at what Kyle Lowry, who missed 10 games and is shooting just 32% from the floor since he's returned, yet they still have won 6 of their last 7. I mean, this is a team that it just seems like adversity, what is that?
Yeah, because once again, you bring in a star quality guy like Kawhi, and then you continue to build within. So Siakam's gotten better, DeLone Wright's gotten better, Van Fleet's gotten better, OG's gotten better. So, and CJ Miles hasn't even shot the ball well yet. So that's another guy that we know has, playoff pedigree that can shoot the basketball and help stretch the floor. And then you got a guy like Greg Monroe, nobody wanted, and now he stepped in when Valanciunas got hurt with the hand injury. So it lets you know they're very, very deep. But I think Nick Nurse has done an excellent job letting each guy know when someone goes down, here's your opportunity. Go out there and play. Don't play like you're playing to lose.
Yeah, they've been one of the deepest teams for the last couple seasons, and they continue to prove that now. Especially, you heard what Doug said. They're 8-2 even without Kawhi being out there, which is very impressive and hard to do. It's hard to have that kind of success when your star player's out.
All right, Kyle Lowry started the season hot from the field, leading the NBA in assists, and his shot has really been the thing that struggled. What are you seeing with his shooting? Is it his form? Is it his legs? What do you see as being a part of his struggle?
I think maybe some with the legs, but I thought Bulls, because we know he's one of those guys, with his conditioning, I thought he came back the season in pretty good condition.
Yeah.
I think it's a stretch in the season that things are not going well from a shooting standpoint, but his leadership and sharing the basketball, I think is still premium.
Yeah, Kyle's he's a pro. He's a great pro. He does a great job of getting guys involved. He's still a pit bull out there. They still trust him, obviously. He's a very good defender, good playmaker, doesn't take any plays off. So whether we've seen this before in the playoffs too, where he's lost a little confidence in his jump shot, but he still played hard and played well. And obviously they've had great success despite that. So as the season goes along, CJ starts shooting better, he starts shooting better. Team's going to be very good.
Certainly, we're seeing the evolution of the Toronto Raptors right in front of us as they're leading the NBA in wins. And there's an evolution of facial hair here. See, 0 here, a little bit there. Yeah. Boo's got the full beard, but then there is the bearded one. James Harden kind of dialed back on the dress code tonight, right? Yeah.
Put the jacket on.
And that to me is courtside certified. I think when they take it too far, I don't know about
Can he pull his pants down a little bit?
Ankle biters.
You got a man capri pants.
James Harden.
It is all hard.
It's one of the greatest individual offensive runs we've ever seen.
The beard also extended the streak to 18 in a row, scoring at least 30.
The step-back three is an iconic shot, just like the Skyhook, just like the Dream Shake. James Harden's step-back three is unstoppable.
He's perfected the step-back where it's unguardable.
Just continue to go. Keep giving the opposing team hell.
Murray and Harden.
He fell down. Man down. Man down.
James Harden puts you in the most compromising position possible on every possession. The way he plays, the way he attacks.
Like a running back, using the power to create space with his elbow on his shoulder. All of a sudden, he knocked this guy back like they're in a boxing ring. Bang, bang, bang.
Down to 3, down to 2, it's a 3. Good! Good! He got it! He hit the 3!
He's got a mastery of the game. Again, I haven't seen his whole life, but the last 3 years, I don't know how you get any better than what he's playing.
Yeah, he's just extremely unique if you factor in just the overall offensive package. If you look at the volume of the shots that he takes for a team at an efficient level, I think that's the key. Then you add in the fact that his passing is at a level that's in the top 10 to 20 in NBA history. James has been leading the top offense since he's been in the league.
Oh, man, he's special, man. And he has a counter for everything the defense gives. If you force him right, he has counters going left. If you force him left, he has counters going right. There's really nothing you can do with him. You just have to hope he misses.
We got 40 games left to go. It's outside of anything that we've ever seen.
So those shots you see him make at the end of games, he practices that stuff every single day. And to see him actually do it in games is pretty incredible.
Look, his whole team is hurt right now. At this point, I don't think there's any doubt about it. We still have half the season to go. Right now, James Harden is the NBA's MVP.
Step back. Oh! 57 points.
17 straight games with 30-plus points. That joins the most underrated player in NBA history, Elgin Baylor, and Wilt Chamberlain, the most statistically significant player in NBA history. Wow. Those are the only people to ever do that.
Houston Rockets, Los Angeles Lakers tip off at 8:30. James Harden averaging 40 points over the last 21 games, 18 straight games over 30, and over 55 points in his last 2 games. Kelly Iko of The Athletic joins us now. You cover the Houston Rockets. How incredible of a run has this been for James Harden? And with this team, how long do they plan on riding just Harden being their entire offense?
I think it's incredible. I wasn't around the league to cover when Kobe and Elgin Baylor did those crazy streaks, and now you're seeing it on a nightly basis where the team really needs it at the most, and you're seeing him doing it in such an efficient manner. And the crazy thing is he knows that if he can hit 5 or 6 threes, he said, and I quote, it's going to be a 40-point night. And back then, you would think that maybe 30 points would be good, but now he's thinking 40, 50, 60. And I think as the games go on, you're going to see him trying to will his team to victory and back up the Western Conference standings.
Kelly, how you doing, man? It's Booz. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Big fan of you.
Thank you, brother. I got a question. James has been on a tear, as we just documented and talked about. Going forward, the schedule gets a little thicker. They're playing without CP3. Obviously, they're playing without Clint Capella. May have a signing coming up here soon. What other guy on the team is going to step up consistently to help him carry some of that offensive load, whether that's Eric Gordon or whether that's Gerald Green? Who you got?
I think Eric Gordon, for sure. He kind of started the season a bit slow and consistent, but as you see him come back the last game, he was on a minutes restriction, but he is going to be needed to be offensive, aggressive, and for a consistent basis for them to, get some wins put together.
And Kelly, as you look at this team trying to go back deep into the playoffs again, is there any concern that James may run out of gas like he did last year, that someone definitely has to help him? Or are we looking at James being in that great of shape, this may be the year he can go all the way?
Yeah, definitely. Coach D'Antoni always talks about his biggest fear is, putting too much load and time on James's legs. And he's averaging almost close to 40 minutes in this 20-game stretch, which is pretty unbelievable. But with Eric Gordon coming back and Chris Paul returning next week possibly, and Austin Rivers with the team now, the idea is to give him some rest, because he is putting a lot of time in the dog days of the season where you're going to need him in May and possibly June, hopefully, for them.
Well, you mentioned Chris Paul. Earlier this week, Mike D'Antoni said, okay, Chris Paul should be back next week. What is that timetable? Is there a specific game that's now located as the game Chris Paul should come back?
No, we all know D'Antoni keeps things close to his chest, but I don't think there's a specific game that he has in mind, but it depends on Chris and how he looks, in training and practice.
All right,
next
excellent.
week for sure.
Yep. Yeah. Kelly Eco from The Athletic. Appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Chris Paul, I think, is the key to this entire equation, because when you look at James Harden's usage, we haven't seen this in what we can say the modern era, right? When you look at all the stats, it kind of goes back to Elgin Baylor or Wilt Chamberlain. Those are the names that you had. And like you said, look, 55 or more in consecutive games, there's 2 guys on that list, James Harden and Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing right now. He scored 58, and they lost the game. So this is a situation where when Chris Paul comes back, maybe we see this run of James Harden having this usage and these crazy stats go away, but it might be better for the Houston Rockets, right?
Well, we can say that, Chris, but James Harden is playing at such a high level, he's been able to hold down the fort. So if you're giving James Harden a rest, who's going to hold down his fort? So we're saying Chris Paul's going to come back and start getting 40 for his 10 straight game. We're saying Chris Paul's going to come back and start getting 50 the way James Harden's getting. I don't think so. So what we're saying is when Chris Paul comes back, come back and be who Chris Paul is, and James Harden, you continue to do what you're doing, because it has to happen that way if we're thinking you're going to get back to a possible Game 7. Chris Paul's hamstring doesn't get hurt. Maybe they beat Golden State. See all these maybes I'm talking about? So that's why it has to be Austin Rivers. Is it Brandon Knight? Is it Eric Gordon? It has to be a collective of guys to help what James Harden's doing if they want to go deep again.
Certainly, James Harden is someone that if he's not on top of your MVP palette, he should be 1A or 1B, right? You can't have him. You can't have him at number 2.
If he's 4 or 5, then what NBA are you watching?
Well, there's another guy on top of that ballot or near.